Welcome to the Environmental Pollution course. This is Upinder working as an assistant professor in the Department of Civil Engineering in Anurag Engineering College. Today I would like to explain about characteristics of the solid waste. Before to know the characteristics of the solid waste, to know about the waste and solid waste. So what is meant by the waste? Waste is the unwanted or unuseful substance present in the environment. And what is meant by the solid waste? Means it is defined as unwanted or unuseful material present in the environment in the form of solid is called as a solid waste. And the solid waste is identified with the help of the characteristics of the waste. So here the characteristics of the solid waste. Characteristics of the solid waste describes its composition, behavior and impact on the environment. Understanding those characteristics is essential for the design of collection systems, treatment process and disposal methods. Solid waste characteristics are broadly classified into the physical, chemical, biological and thermal or mechanical characteristics. These are the characteristics of the solid waste: physical, chemical, biological and thermal. So in that first one is the physical characteristics. It is an important for the selection and operation of the equipment and for the analysis and design of the disposal facilities. It including the following specifications like specific weight, moisture content, size of the waste constituent and field capacity, permeability of the compacted waste. In that first one is the first specification is the specific weight. It means weight is specific weight is nothing but density. What is the definition of the density? Density is defined as the mass of the substance to the volume of the substance. So specific weight is defined as the weight of the material for unit volume, and the units is kilogram per meter cube. Usually it refers to the uncompacted waste. So it varies with the geographic location. Specific weight is varies with the geographical locations, season of the year and length of the time in storage. The specific weight of the any substances is varies with the geographical locations, means different geographical locations like on the earth, on the Mars and on the moon. It varies. And seasons of the year, specific weight is varies due to seasons of years, means the waste is decades. For example, the waste is disposal on the land, it means landfill. For example, the 100 years of the landfilling, the specific weight of that waste is varies, and the length of the time in a storage. Any normal compaction equipment can achieve reduced in the volume of the waste by the 75%. Means here the compaction by using the rollers, different type of rollers used to compact the waste materials. The typical specific weight values, here the table explains the range and the typical values of the different components of the solid waste. Here the component means food waste, paper, plastic, ad waste, glass, tin cans, aluminium, etc. So these are the component, and the second column it represents the range of that components, and third column represents the typical values of the components of the solid waste. In that first one is the food waste. The range of the specific weight range is the 130 to 480 kg per meter cube, and the typical value of that food waste is the 290 kg per meter cube. And the second one is the paper. The paper specific weight or density is the 40 to 130, range is 40 to 130 kg per meter cube, and typical value is the 89 kg per meter cube. The next one is the plastic. the range of the specific weight of the plastic is the 40. And next component is the plastic. The specific weight range is the 40 to 130 kg per meter cube, and the typical value is the 64 kg per meter cube. And next component is the add waste. The specific weight of the add waste range is the 65 to 225 kg per meter cube, and the typical value is the 100 kg per meter cube. And next component is the glass. The specific weight range is the 160 to 480 kg per meter cube, and the typical value is the 194. Then next one is the tin cans. The specific weight range is the 50 to 160 kg per meter cube, and the typical value is the 89 kg per meter cube. And then aluminium specific weight range is the 65 to 240 kg per meter cube, and the typical value is the 160 kg per meter cube. These are the specific weight ranges. Next one is the moisture content. Next characteristics in the physical next one in the physical characteristics is the moisture content. The moisture in a sample is expressed as percentage of the wet weight of the municipal solid waste material. MSW means the municipal solid waste. A typical range of the moisture content is 20 to 40%, representing the extremes of the waste in an arid climate. Means low rainfall, low precipitation area, arid climate, and in the wet season of the region of the high precipitation. The typical moisture content of the waste, here the first column represents the moisture content in different areas and the different components. Second column represents the different components, and third column represents the range of that component, and fourth one is the typical value. So in that, for example, residential area, the component of the waste is generated like food waste, paper waste, plastics, add waste and glass. And in the commercial areas like food waste, rubbish, mixed waste. And the construction and demolition waste, mixed demolition combustibles and mixed construction combustibles, chemical sludge, and industrial sand, sawdust, wood. For example, it is the mixed one, mixed agriculture waste. And in the agriculture like manure. These are the different components of the solid waste. For example, in the residential areas, for example, the waste is generated like food waste. The range of the moisture content of the food waste is the 50 to 80%, and the typical value is the 70%. The paper, next one is the papers. The range of the moisture content of the paper is 4 to 10%, and typical value is the 6. Next one is the plastic. The moisture content range is the 1 to 4, and typical is 2. Add waste. The moisture content range is the 30 to 80, and the typical is the 60%. Next one is the glass, 1 to 4% moisture content range, and the typical moisture content range is the 2%. And next one is the commercial waste, like food waste. The moisture content range is the 50 to 80 kg percentage, and typical value range is the 70%. And the rubbish waste, like moisture content is the 10 to 25%, and the typical value is the 15%. And next one is the construction and demolition waste, like mixed demolition combustibles. The moisture content range is the 4 to 15%, typical value is the 8. And mixed construction combustibles, so the moisture content range is the 4 to 15%, and the typical value is the 8. Next one is the chemical sludge, 75 to 99% moisture content range, and typical value is the 80%. And industrial waste like sawdust, moisture content range is the 10 to 40%, and typical value is the 20%. Next one, wood. the moisture content range is the 30 to 60 and typical value is the 35. Mixed agriculture and mixed agriculture waste, the moisture content typical moisture content range is the 40 to 80%, and the typical moisture content is the 50%. And agricultural waste like manure, wet form, the moisture content range is the 75 to 96, and typical is the 94%. And next one is the size of the waste. Size of the waste constituents means this characteristics is to distribution and transportation of the waste easily. It means the size and the distribution of the components of the waste are important for the recovery of the materials, especially when mechanical means are used, such as the trommel screens and magnetic separators. For example, the ferrous items which are of the large size may be too heavy to be separated by the magnetic belt or the drum system. The next characteristics is the physical capacity. It means the total amount of the moisture that can be retained in a waste sample subjected to the downward flow of the gravity. It means the solid waste material, it consists of the four phases and it retains some water or the moisture content. It is slowly falls down to the gravitational force. Field capacity is the critical important in determining the formations of leachate in landfill. Here leachate means the solid, means liquid state. It forms from the solid waste. Means from the landfill of the solid waste. It means in rainy seasons the rainwater passes through the solid waste. In that waste consists of the some chemicals mixed with the solid waste. That waste consists of the chemicals. It is called as a leachate. It varies with the degree of the applied pressure and the state of the decomposition of the waste. But typical value for uncompacted commingled waste from the residential and commercial sources are in the range of the 50 to 60%. The next characteristics is the permeability of the compacted waste. The permeability means hydraulic conductivity, denoted with the K of compacted solid waste, is an important physical property because it governs the movement of the liquids and the gases in the landfill. Here the permeability depends upon the four size distribution and surface area. Permeability means for example, any substance allows water or anyone, it passes through it. It allows pass through it is called as the permeability. It depends upon the four size distribution and surface area. Next characteristics is the chemical characteristics. The chemical characteristics of the solid waste are very important in evaluating the alternative processing and recovery options. If the solid waste are to be used as a fuel or used for any other purpose, we must know their chemical characteristics, including of the following. First one is the chemicals, biochemical and toxic. In the chemical characteristics including pH value, nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium, total carbon, C/N ratio means the carbon and nitrogen ratio, calorific value, and biomedical characteristics including carbohydrates, proteins, natural fiber and biodegradable factors. And toxic characteristics including heavy metals, pesticides, insecticides, toxicity for leachates, etc. Methods of the chemical analysis. The following methods for the chemical analysis, they are the approximate analysis, fusing point of ash, ultimate analysis means major elements, energy content. In that first one is the proximate analysis. It means the proximate analysis for the combustible components of the municipal solid waste, including the following test: moisture content, ash, volatile combustible matters, fixed carbon, combustible residues.